2022. Have in the president is Nick Jackson, chairman. President, Commissioner Carl Kramer, president. Also myself as chair. We have General Counsel Erica Smith and I think Miss Taylor Hilton. We just met Miss Portia. Huh? Portia, okay. We have Bob Weaver in the audience and Miss Laura, is it? Okay, we got Miss Laura. So with that said and done, we also have Commissioner Watson with us this morning. All right. Oh, great. Welcome. Well, we're going to let you lead out this morning. Okay. Well, with that said and done, let's get started. I'm going to turn to my right. My colleagues always have a lot of questions, so let's get started.
I'll go first if y'all want me to. And anyway, this report was very well done, and we need to compliment to Erica and Taylor. Y'all did really good. And anyway, I've just got a few here. Number 5.
I got the same one.
Do you? In addition to the recommendation, we may need to send this info over to the Department of Revenue, and so they could discuss procedures with the Easy Tag folks.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll add that onto there.
Okay. And let's see here.
Well, Commissioner Galvin, I went one step further. I recommend they may come to the commission here to just I just think this
I can include in the letter of instruction that they need to come and speak with you at the next meeting, if that's something that you want included in there.
that or letter of warning, and then if that still happens, then they can come to us. I mean, I don't know where they're located. Let me go back.
You know, this might be a good place, Erica, for you to address the Easy Tag situation.
Sure, I think that's
and
a great
how that
idea.
lock's not there.
So I just wanted to kind of communicate this to the commission, that I have been in contact and I will continue to stay in communication with Allison Raymer. She is the Director of Vehicle Services over at the Department of Revenue and handles the dealings with the Easy Tag vendor and temporary tags in general. And the first thing I asked her a couple weeks ago, just in anticipation of the legal report, we always have issues with temporary tags. It's a very common thing. I don't think I've ever seen a legal report without the issue of somebody issuing too many temporary tags. And so the first thing I asked her was, are they still allowing 3 temporary tags? Instead of right now the law says that you can have 2 30-day tags, but ever since COVID caused delays, they allow, they had their vendor, the Easy Tag system, allow 3 temporary tags. So she stated that yes, they're still allowing that. I asked if they are going to make sure they keep in communication with us and let us know when that changes, and if they're going to make sure they communicate to any dealers that still use paper tags. There are some dealers that don't have the internet. I know that sounds crazy, but there are, and they don't have to use this Easy Tag system right now. So they have confirmed that they will communicate that, any changes, to all dealers. And I will stay on top of that as well, to make sure that we're in the know. And on another note, I asked if they are anticipating the change in the law, which will take effect July 1st. And that will be talked about in our legislative update later in the meeting. But the law is changing to 1 temporary tag for 60 days. So right now it's 2 for 30 days each. So it really doesn't change the days or the amount of time. It just changes to 1 60-day tag. And so I asked them, well, what about this 3rd temporary tag that's allowing for 90 days? How is that going to affect? How is the new law going to affect that? So they're talking about it internally, and they will have an answer for me by the time it becomes effective by July 1st. So I'll definitely have an update for you at the next meeting on that. But I just wanted to let you know.
And hopefully they can accommodate, when you have a 60-day, they can do a 30 on top of it.
Right.
Hopefully the technology's there.
I do believe that it is, as long as they're still allowing that 90 days.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to make sure the commission knew that we are staying on top of it and making sure that we're all on the same page.
So, one of the cases, somebody issued 5 tags. I remember. So those were the old cardboard ones. Then.
You know, that's another thing that I need to talk further with Allison about, because about a year ago, I asked her if the easy tag system prevented dealers from issuing more than allowed by law. And her response was a firm, no dealers can, issue more than the easy tag system won't let them. That was her answer. But it's obvious that that is not the case. I think that the dealers have maybe gotten creative and changed dates or done some sort of duplication. They've manipulated the system. So I'm going to talk to Allison about that, and hopefully I'll have an update on that as well at the next meeting, because it's obviously a problem and there's not a strong enough block on that. So, and it could be that they're using paper tags and there's really nothing we can do about that, but hopefully those will fade out eventually completely. But I definitely think that there's something that's going on in the easy tag system that's being manipulated as well. Yeah. I haven't heard anything about that. I would hope that she would have communicated that with how many times I've asked her about it, and it doesn't sound like there's any sort of rule. You could just do it. Okay, so would you want me to communicate that? I agree with you, because it's obviously a really common thing, and I want to make sure everybody's being treated fairly and they're in the know, and that they have the correct instructions. So I will communicate that there is a lot of confusion.
Commissioner Norton, if I might interrupt for just a second. If you look at the actual language of the public chapter that passed, there is nothing in that public chapter that speaks to the third tag. So they would have, if something like that is their intent, then they would have to promulgate that via rule. So.
Mr. Weaver?
Chairman, members of the committee, Bob Weaver, still with Tennessee Automotive Association. We can argue over the title. I think 2 things are relevant. Third tag, or the extra 30 days, is at the discretion of the Commissioner of Revenue. And so it's not a matter of right. He has to grant that authority. And during the last COVID bout in certain counties, particularly Shelby and Davidson, where the clerk's office was closed due to COVID exposures, he was convinced that enough disruption was happening and paperwork was in fact stacking up at the county clerk's office that he allowed dealers to issue the third tag. And so it's by his authority that you do that. That authority, Denise, is actually over in the temporary operating permit section, which is separate and apart from the temporary tag section. And Commissioner Norton, to your comment, yes, when they granted that third tag, there were provisos that the work had to be in the clerk's office and it wasn't being processed. I don't know that that's been implemented across the state, just to be honest. But when he made that initial determination, he did say those words. And so it probably would help to make sure that the department and BIS, who is the vendor for the Easy Tag, and Commission just needs to play by the rule.
Just need,
Thank you.
put in writing so all the dealers will know. I
Well,
think.
the initial,
It should be a process.
authority was in writing, Mr. Galvin.
Okay.
All right.
I
Thank
think
you.
Allison may be able to provide that to you, Erica.
I will definitely ask for that.
Thank you.
Cameron,
Okay.
Robert, were you finished or you had?
Oh, no, I've got a few more.
Okay.
Number 32, in the past, with an acknowledgement from a newspaper, broadcast media, third party, the motor vehicle has extended grace to the dealer when other party acknowledges that an advertising mistake. And I'm just asking the question, is that what, should we not do that in this case too? I mean, that is our practice, correct?
I had a question on 32 as well. The did we not talk at one time about sending a notice out to all the dealers, and did that ever happen about the advertising lock fee on that?
That has gone out.
Mr. Yes,
Yeah, but I mean,
yes, Commissioner.
that's gone out to all the dealers.
It's gone out. It actually went out on the day the rules went into effect,
Okay.
on the 20th, which was last Wednesday. And we've also we put a bulletin up on our website, and we've also created a graphic that we're putting on social media that's real simple, that says includes the dock fee, does not include the dock fee. You did? Good, 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 good.
Looked at for it was on the wall.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, considering
That was my initial thought with this one as well, that I think a letter of warning would suffice for this. So if that's what you feel as well, I'm agreeing on that one.
Number 34, Erica, you want to address us on that one? You and I spoke on it briefly.
Yes, of course. And so this is also kind of related to what we just talked about with number 32, that one of these violations is no longer a violation. Now, the fact that the amount of the dock fee was not disclosed technically is still a violation. So, but if we're going to do a letter of warning for number 32, I think we need to do a letter of warning for number 34 as well to be consistent.
Right.
So, okay.
And
Excuse me, Director Lawrence.
Yes.
We still can't get in the pad. I can't follow through, the case that we talking about.
who you think your phone hard goes it's probably old.
No, I take it back.
Well, the old guy next to him don't work here for him.
I'm not the only one.
I got my work.
Okay, great.
okay, number 57. Kind of some weird facts. I mean, for the record, 15 USC 1692. I think it deals with federal fair debt collection.
This was a very interesting one that didn't really follow any direct pattern. So I tried to put as much as I could get from the complaint into here to make it follow to what they were trying to say. But that's kind of why I didn't think this had any really merit to anything that we could discipline for. So that's why I just had that as a close.
I want to do on that one. I mean,
It's hard to understand for one thing. I mean, to explain what is that, whatever, USC 1692, an obligation of the United States. I mean, I had to read it 3 times just to figure this thing out.
Well, Commissioner, on my reading on there was a lot of detail left out. However, there's something involving truth in lending here, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, there was not any like direct claim of a violation in the complaint. The complaint literally just quoted this, and so it was kind of hard for me to even understand to put into there, and so I didn't see any violation within this one, and so that's just why I had recommended close.
And
Let's see, they just came up with that throw you off track. Go ahead, Chairman.
number 68. I guess my question is, isn't there a bond that we could go back on that case?
Sorry, can you ask that one more time?
On 68, I believe I've got the right number on here. Let's see. I guess instead of just closing and flagging it, I just thought maybe we should send the bond information to the customer.
I did that. Sorry, I meant to include that in there.
You did?
I
Okay.
said that. Yeah, I do that on everyone like this. Yeah.
Good. Number 78. Since the error occurred at the auction, wouldn't they be liable in that case? 78.
Review it a little bit. I mean, that was my thought. Yes. But is this something that you're thinking we should discipline the auction for, or?
Well,
because this is against the deal, actually this was against a dealer, a person that owned a dealership. So I thought that we shouldn't discipline them because I felt like they did the right thing here.
Sure.
But yes, it seems the auction missed the fact that the person who sold it to them had written miles exempt. But is that, we do regulate the auction.
Errors and omissions probably for the auction.
Could be, because do we have the documentation for the product and transfer?
Well, I didn't ask for much paperwork on this one because this complainant has actually filed a complaint with everybody that you could possibly file a complaint with, including the cops. And I based I put my faith in the cops' investigative report. So I didn't ask for more paperwork because I felt like everybody had taken a look at this. So, but I'm happy to look further. Okay, so
There was an error.
You're speaking of at the auction? Okay.
well, the police report stated that their investigation looked at the documents, and I took the summary from there. So I didn't, I trusted the police investigation. But if you're saying that I shouldn't, okay. Well,
If we're gonna rule against them,
right. Can you just give me a second? I want to make sure, and I'm just basing this off my memory. We might have it.
Erica, why don't we look for the information on that one? Let's go on and look for the information on that one during the appeals, maybe.
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure it was at least 10 years old. I think that did that just recently change to 20 or has it's
20? Yeah, that's
not. Okay, let me look into it and I'll follow up.
number 90. Just a question on that one is, why couldn't the dealership issue a third tag? And it should have been during the period which that was being allowed.
Okay, number 90. Probably because the dealer wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Sure.
That I've heard many different things from dealers, and based on my communication with Department of Revenue, I believe that some people don't know. And they obviously didn't do anything wrong there with not issuing a third temporary tag. But yeah, I imagine they have no clue.
Okay, 103. Just my last one. Is the title branded flood car?
Okay, can you restate that or repeat that?
103. Is the title branded as a flood
Oh,
car?
is it branded? Okay.
Branded.
No, it was not branded. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, it was salvaged and then it was rebuilt, and so it's branded rebuilt.
Okay. Can I ask Mr. Weaver a question? Is that the rules on flood and salvage, from your being involved with that, what's the norm?
I can tell you what the law says.
Okay.
And then we can check with the revenue to see
Sure.
see what they're doing. The salvage title branding law passed in 96 and 7, as I recall, and it requires a process when a vehicle has been damaged up to 75% of its pre-accident. You go through a process. You submit your list of parts to the Department of Revenue. An inspection, basically internal inspection, checks to make sure no stolen parts were used, and then you can come out the other side with the car identified with a sticker and a title, going from a salvage title to a rebuilt vehicle. There is a separate provision, and in 55.3.209, I think, 55.3.208 says any car that's been submerged carries a brand. That's usually flood. In 209, it actually speaks of flood, and it's a conjunction or in addition to the rebuilt language. So in my opinion, it'd be rebuilt and also carry a brand flood. Now, what's significant is a flood vehicle cannot be rebuilt. It has to bear that legend flood.
It keeps that for life.
Yes. And the rules of the Department of Revenue that administer title and registration are that if water has entered the compartment into the floorboard, that is the same as a submerged vehicle, and that has to carry a brand. And the reason is that affects electronics, and particularly if it's salt water versus fresh water, it makes a significant difference in whether problems will occur. Not if they'll occur, they will occur. And that's the reason they carry a flood brand.
Thank you for
branded. As I understand, it's Department of Revenue still handles that. It's been to safety and back to revenue, depending on who's got control of title and registration. But it's supposed to be originally, in the original legislation, it's going to be a metal plate that was riveted to the car. The cost prohibited that, and so they went to a sticker that was allegedly incapable of being removed.
the CID folks.
I'm not sure.
In the old days, there was an auto theft unit that applied the stickers in Department of Revenue.
Thank you for clearing that up for us. That's good info. That's really all I've got.
Yeah, I got a few. And also, can we make a recommendation to management?
Absolutely.
So you know
I've got just a few. Number 8.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was a curiosity thing.
okay, thank you.
That's okay in Tennessee. You can sell the vehicle without having the title in hand.
I agree. Because there are states where you can't sell a vehicle without the title in hand. I can't think of the state offhand, but I know there's at least one.
All right,
So, I know exactly what you're talking about. So the reason I did double the civil penalty, considering it is their second time, but it was this complaint happened during the same time that they were having issues that led to this $15,000 civil penalty, and I let them know if it continues to happen, then you're probably going to have to come before the commission. But because this was before they made their changes, I thought a civil penalty was appropriate here.
oh, but in this,
I don't know because it wasn't.
there,
Like a license plate, you mean?
display, there's probably some smoke there.
So in the future, just so I know, because I can educate our investigators about that. Let's say there wasn't tags. Is there something we can do about that, or we could refer it to just police? Okay.
Obviously,
Right. Okay. I know that's a lot.
it's like a used car lot.
Right. Well, I will let them know to provide that information going forward to make sure that they check that, provide pictures so we can at least refer it to the appropriate authorities.
So this
Same one.
throughout, they Arkansas. We don't want
Yeah, this will definitely be flagged and referred over to Arkansas.
I assume they'll do fine in Arkansas, honestly, so they probably won't come back.
I do have a question about number 5 when we had discussed it. Did you come to a conclusion of if you want them to come in or if you want me just to issue a letter of warning?
And I think we ought to do a letter of warning first. And then if it continues, then we'll have them come in.
Okay, and so I have
Let's get the message out
I like
first.
that remedy.
I had on the recommendation for a letter of instruction for that issue. Do you want me to change that to a letter of warning? Okay, I will do that.
So back to 78, if it's okay. So I looked into the file, and now I know why I did not move forward with trying to get more. Well, actually, I did. We did ask the complainant for documentation, and we got a very rude email stating that we are a waste of time, and she wants us to close it and doesn't want anything to do with us. The what? The complainant. Me asking. I asked for, can you give us your paperwork, what you've given to these other, and it was very rude and said, I want you to close it. I don't want anything to do. Everybody's been a waste of time. So we can't do much else. I should have put that in the summary.
Good.
So, even if the complainant don't want to pursue it, but you do have a right if you see a violation.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Gotcha.
But we don't even know if there is a violation
Because they won't provide
the information.
Exactly. And I imagine it's just out of frustration dealing with whoever they filed a complaint with before us. So it's unfortunate.
Any more questions?
Mr. Galvin, just a few comments on number 6. I just thought it was odd that the customer knew what a gold purchase package was on a warranty, but then the dealer said they didn't get a warranty. Don't they have to sign documents showing that they signed this warranty? I mean, how would they know that it was a gold warranty on the thing?
So the dealer said that they did explain to them all their warranty options and they turned it down. They provided signed documentation that they turned down a warranty, not that they signed for a warranty.
Basically explained it to them so they knew the term,
yeah,
but yet they did not take it.
That's what it appears. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my last one is case 28, the market adjustments. We're in a position now where dealers are selling vehicles over list price, MSRP. You know, some are going 10, 5, whatever. My question is on this is, if they're advertising over MSRP, does it have to be documented on their website? Because apparently this was not. And when the customer got there, that's when they got the addendum of $2,000 or whatever dollars. The question is, now we're in this stage, and I know a lot of dealers are doing this, is they're not telling the customer that there's an addendum until they get there, because they're ordering the vehicles prior, and they're waiting 6 months, and they get there, they say, oh, we have an additional X amount on this market adjustment. Well, to me, I mean, they should have told them up right before they ordered the vehicle. So we need to come up with some kind of solution, because this is the ball game that people are doing now.
It is, and it's something new, and I think it's worth talking about and maybe coming to some sort of an agreement now, because I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
Absolutely.
Since we don't have anything in the rules or law that specifically prohibits it, I think it can be considered deceptive advertising if you don't include it. But I do think, because it's new and it's not laid out specifically, that we should give a warning right now, and maybe send out a bulletin or something, put something where it's communicated to everybody, because we don't want to just wait till it happens and warn one person at a time.
But customers don't understand, for one thing. You know.
Right.
Well, there's two things here. One.
But can we do that? I think we need to decide, is that what we want to do? Is that how we want to handle it? And
Well, that's one thing. One is if the website this deception. Things happen to me. I was then told I'll pass. Never gave me a price.
so if there's no price, it's not deceptive. But if they have a price on there and they don't add the market adjustment, we can say that that's clearly deceptive.
Advertising.
What about, I know that I've heard from dealers that we just don't, it changes all the time. What if we get that? What if we get that response? Well, they put let's say they even put a market adjustment, but it's changed by the time the customer goes in. Is that a problem too? Is that allowed? Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not a dealer, but I've heard that.
Let's for one more time. Let's hear from Mr. Weaver and give us a little clarification on this.
See, automotive. So I've never talked this much at a motor vehicle commission meeting before. I apologize. 2 points. One is the advertising rules speak to when a price is advertised. So that's when the responsibilities come to make certain disclosures in order to be in compliance. The rules that went into effect April the 20th, talk about any kind of dealer-imposed fee having to be disclosed. And so I would suggest that the Rules Subcommittee may agree that if you have a market adjustment price and you're advertising the price of that vehicle, that you need to disclose that this vehicle carries a whatever market adjustment. In addition, just like it has a $2.99 processing fee. So if you're going to do that on that car and you're going to advertise the price, then I think the dealer fee language that we just cover that situation. You may want to ask your. That would be my thought.
One other question. You mentioned the language. I mean, what wording, correct wording, does somebody say to a customer why he's marking this thing up? Is it a market adjustment? Is it because low inventory? I mean, we got to have some kind of
I think
correct wording.
that's
I mean,
the
because
reason
dealers
I
are just
respectfully-
making stuff up and putting it on the window, which is crazy.
Well, I respectfully suggest that's why your Rules Subcommittee ought to look at it. As was done when we passed the processing fee disclosure statute, we tried to enumerate all the things that was being called. And when later asked, somebody says, well, what should I call this fee? I said, well, the statute refers to this, that, and that. Why would you want to call it something different than have to argue, is that the same thing? So if the Rules Subcommittee says you can call it market adjustment, you can call it low inventory, that's where I think you spell it out and do it with people in the industry that I do. But I think the current rule, since it's a dealer-imposed fee, it would be covered now. You may want to amplify it or clarify it.
Back to this case 28. Y'all closed that case.
So one, a reason I had done to close it is
Thank
because
you.
they had said that, yes, also thank you, is that they had said they had never issued a quote to this particular customer, that they had just came in and looked. However, also, I had spoke with their counsel, and then they have also adjusted that in their website. I just checked again. Their website is now showing a market adjustment on any cars that they do that online.
It okay with that?
And can I make one quick comment, just to shore up what Mr. Weaver mentioned? And I mean, obviously, I would defer to our rules chairman, Chairman Vaughn, but I believe that it was discussed during that time. And interestingly enough, the example that we did, the social media example, originally had on it the price of the car, the dock fee, and a market adjustment fee on it. And it said market adjustment $2,000 because we saw that we were having so much of that. But everybody kind of got together and thought that might be a little confusing to put so much information on there because you could do lots of things. But I think that Chairman Vaughn would agree that we discussed during our Rules Committee that it would be market adjustment, and we envisioned something like that if they were doing it in the advertising.
So do you suggest that we get and notify her about this and take up the issue?
I think we need to ask her.
Okay.
And then if we need to have a Rules Committee meeting, then we can certainly do that.
All right.
Commissioner Galvin, that's all I have. Thank you.
You got any?
Well, I did just have one question, kind of back to number 5. They sold 200.
So there is a schedule of, I believe it might even be like $50 to $5,000 per violation. But technically, if you're selling, you could say each vehicle is a violation. You can say each day is a violation. So it's it's not something that happens very often, so we don't have a whole lot of precedent for it. But I think that's where we got the 5,000 from, was a max single violation. But can it go higher? Yes, it can go much higher.
Good to know.
I'm good.
Right. Right. Well, and like with temporary tags, just as a comparison, we are only for let's say that sounds like a $2,500 fine would be 5 extra temporary tags. That's only $500 per violation, whereas here we're doing a 5,000 per. So that's just to help you understand. Okay. But in the if it happened again, that's when we would, I think, get nitpicky about every day is a violation.
Similarly, we had a case like this on the last report, and we did a $5,000 fine, so that's where I got that number from. I'm just trying to stay consistent with that. This was a couple more, but it was egregious. That's why we did 5,000 there. That's why I did 5,000 here.
Any more questions about the report? Okay, there being none, do I have a motion to adopt the report subject to the full commissioner approving it? Do I have a second? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Do we need a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. We'll adjourn at
We will
9:15.
reconvene at 9:30 for the regular quarterly meeting. All right, let's go ahead and get started, okay? This is regular quarterly meeting of the Motor Vehicle Commission for Tennessee, and let me make one comment before we call the roll. But I think most of you know that Commissioner John Murray, through deep sadness, okay.
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. Commissioner Barker is present. Commissioner Elam
Present.
is present. Commissioner Evans is absent. Commissioner Galvin
Here.
is present. Commissioner Jackson
here.
is present. Commissioner Kramer
Here.
is present. Commissioner Levy
Here.
is present. Commissioner Lee is absent. Commissioner Melton is absent. Commissioner Norton is present. Commissioner Vaughn
Here.
is present. Commissioner Watson is present. Commissioner West
Here.
is present. Commissioner Chairman Roberts is present. And I'd like to announce that we have our newest commissioner, Commissioner Alani Speaker, has joined us via call-in, however, remotely. And Ms. Speaker has joined us. I hope she literally just got appointed this week. She's with Nissan. And I hope we will see her at our July meeting. So welcome, welcome, Commissioner Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website since April 18th, 2022. This meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website.
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt the agenda.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Agenda is adopted. Of the minute from the January 2020. Pleasure on the minute.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Any further discussion on the minutes? All those, roll call for.
Okay. The motion is to adopt the minutes from the January meeting made by Commissioner Norton and seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker? Yes. Votes aye. Commissioner Chairman Roberts? Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton? Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker?
Yes.
Votes aye. The minutes have been adopted.
Okay, salesperson and first one is Carly.
Yes, do we have Carly? Okay, you can
Come up.
Yeah, you can go ahead and come up,
podium.
actually.
Well, first we'll hear from Eric. I just want to give his little background.
So, the commission has denied the license application submitted by Miss Langley based on the fact that there were criminal convictions in her history. These crimes include simple domestic assault and the violation of a no contact order. The latest date of release, probation, and parole was May 16th of 2021. So based upon the analysis provided above for this applicant's conviction, 5 years has not passed since the latest date of release, probation, or parole, and the crimes do constitute a crime involving moral turpitude. Therefore, the application was denied. So the commission can go over the fresh start factors. And basically, those include that the nature of this crime includes possible evidence that the applicant may not respect the safety and welfare of the general public. The relevant criminal convictions do have a strong relationship with the ability, capacity, and fitness required to perform the duties and discharge the responsibilities of someone within this profession. This conviction can directly relate to the physical safety for a consumer who this person can interact with. We don't have any evidence, or it hasn't been provided any evidence of rehabilitation. And there are no known applicable federal laws for consideration that would curb the applicant's ability to participate in the sale of motor or recreational vehicles, given that there is no federal requirement for licensure of applicants. So that's all of the factors, so you can speak with the applicant now.
Okay. Would you like to address us and tell us a little bit more about your trouble that you've been in the past and why we should grant you a license?
Yes, sir. So last year in 2021, I got 2 assault charges. I was still in active addiction back then, but I've been sober for 14 months. I'm in a program called Recovery Court in Jackson, Tennessee. I've been in it for about 10 months. I graduate in about 8 weeks. And at the end of that program, my charges will be dismissed completely. But yeah, I would just love the opportunity. We have a family business in Humboldt called Jean Langley Ford, and I just love the opportunity to be able to work there and learn from all of them. So,
Did you bring anybody with you today?
yes, sir. Richard Langley.
Would he like to address us at this time? Tell us how you know her and what your position is.
My position is owner, sales manager, and she's my daughter, and she's come a long way and doing a lot better. And I just would like for her to have the opportunity to be able to work with us here at the family business.
Sure. Any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Vaughn, I have a few questions for Carly. Have you been in trouble prior to this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so no issues since all of this?
No, ma'am.
What exactly happened? Because it says an assault charge.
It was an altercation between me and my mother when I lived with her. Mm-hmm.
Are in recovery and you're doing
Right.
all of that? Okay. Are you required to do any kind of drug testing or anything?
In the program I'm in, I have to do 3 drug screens a week.
What were your position at the?
I'm just a salesperson. Right now, I just work and assist people and kind of just learn by watching right now. But yeah.
Else?
Commissioner Jackson, I don't know if I saw the document. Jackson could. Seems as though you're into this program. Right now.
Yes, sir.
That's the one you. 6 week.
Yes, sir. 8 weeks.
Of this. I noticed at the bottom, after within approximately 6 months, if she complete this program, then all charges are dropped. Did we check to verify?
Does she have to verify is what accurate?
This document that we have here in the package, where it says at the bottom, if she stays in the recovery program for 6 more months, then the charge will be dropped, according to what I'm reading here at the bottom. And it came from Judge Blake Anderson, City Court.
Are you asking if she has to follow up to let us know if the charges are dropped?
No. I was asking, did the staff have an opportunity to review this document and verify?
I'm not sure. Is that something that the commission does?
I think just in terms of verification, the staff has verified that actually this is legitimate.
Okay.
But I don't think it necessarily impacts the original Fresh Start Act.
Okay.
So that's why she would have to come before the commission.
So, some of us have. Also, I have.
Yes, sir. Do that with a lot of employees.
Ready for I did it. It's been.
Exactly right. Yes, sir.
Anything else from any other commissioners?
I'll second the motion.
Further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Yes, sir. The motion is to grant licensure to Ms. Langley. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker? Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin? Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, it's unanimous.
Hey, will y'all instruct her how you get her license?
Yes, Ms. Langley, we will notify staff today, and they will actually email you an electronic copy, and then we'll get the hard copy in the mail to you. Okay? Thank you.
That will come how soon?
It should be within 5 to 7 days, but it has to be printed. That's why we like to email you the electronic copy first. Okay?
An electronic copy will go out
Immediately today. I'm
Immediately.
sorry. I apologize.
Okay. Stephanie Nickel, if you come up to the podium, and Erica, will you give us a little background on this one?
Absolutely. So we denied this salesperson application because Ms. Nickel has been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude, and fewer than 5 years has passed since they've completed serving the sentence, parole or probation. The crimes here are conspiracy to introduce contraband into a penal facility, driving under the influence, and attempted burglary other than a habitation. 5 years will expire in July of 2028. So I guess the parole or probation would be over in 2023, July of 2023. So based upon that analysis, this crime does involve moral turpitude, and obviously 5 years has not passed. So the commission can consider the fresh start analysis, and I'm going to go over that again. Whether the conviction involving moral turpitude directly relates to the applicant's fitness to practice, and the crimes of conspiracy to introduce contraband into a penal facility and attempted burglary directly relate to the applicant's fitness to practice within the profession. Whether the commission believes this should be denied based upon these factors, the relationship between the nature of the crime and the purposes of regulating the occupation and profession. So here the nature of the crime includes possible evidence that the applicant may not respect the safety and welfare of the general public. The relationship between the crime and the ability, capacity, and fitness required to perform the duties. Here, the relevant conviction does have a strong relationship with the ability and capacity required to perform the duties. We don't have any evidence, it hasn't been provided at least, any evidence of rehabilitation here, and there are no applicable federal laws for consideration here.
Hey, Ms. Nickel, would you like to address us? And excuse me,
Chairman Robert, got a question for the staff.
Okay.
Commissioner Jackson, do you have the date for the contrabands?
I think I do. You're just going to have to give me a minute.
Burglary or
Speak into the microphone.
facilitation of attempted burglary. I believe that was June 2015. But it didn't go on my June 2015. The DUI was October 2019, and the introduction of contraband was July of last year.
It look right, Erica? Okay.
Keep talking to her, and I'll
Okay.
I'll confirm.
Vicky, okay.
Sure.
Okay. Now the facilitation of attempted burglary. I have part of my dealings with that. I've been off probation, completed programs. I went through recovery court, through circuit court in Madison County, completed that program. And then after receiving my DUI in 2019, I went through Mirror Lake Recovery Center here in Dixon, completed that program as well, and went on to live in a sober living house for 90 days in Jackson, Oxford Recovery Center. Since then, I made a terrible lapse in judgment and caught my for the production of contract. I served, and when I got out, I got my job at Jones, and it has completely changed my life around.
You bring anybody with you?
I did. I got my managers.
Okay. Would he like to come up and address us?
How you doing?
Give us your name and
My
what
name's
you
Kowalski
do
Taylor.
in oversight with her.
My name is Kowalski Taylor. I've been at Jones for the last 9 years. I'm now the sales manager. We more than are happy to embrace her. She has been a beacon of light for us. We understand about everything she had went through, but we have watched her grow, and we would really, really love to have her at the dealership. I'm sorry that she is nervous, so you don't get to see how bubbly she really is, but she's a great person, and she's come a very long way.
Why don't we go ahead and...
Mr. Jackson, the program that you completed, that you just outlined about the DUI and burglary, add any of that information to the staff, or do you have it available?
No, I don't. No, I sure didn't. I could. It was through the circuit court system.
Okay. But it was 2019.
2019 was the DUI, and I caught that DUI in October. I went on to, I checked myself into rehab fully voluntarily. It was not a part of a court or anything, and completed. I checked myself in the 19th of December, and did a 35-day program. Got out in January of 2020.
This is Commissioner Levy. Can you take us back? We understand the 2 prior convictions and the 2 recovery programs that you went through, and yet last year something happened. Take us into what happened last year and how we got there.
I had a complete lapse in judgment. My ex-husband he's in prison, or was. He was in prison, and he talked me into dropping something off that I had no business doing. I was living in an Oxford house at the time, and it was just falling victim to manipulation, honestly.
Do you still have contact with him?
Questions? Erica?
So it looks like the burglary was 2015 and the DUI was 2019. Is that okay?
Commissioner Jackson, what was the content?
Marijuana. Around some marijuana.
Commissioner Vaughn, so you're not in contact with your ex-husband anymore? Are you associating with anybody that is still around him? Was he your ex-husband at the time?
I can't remember. Yes. It barely. He got out for like a couple weeks. Took him straight to the courthouse, divorced him. But we have no contact at all.
Have you been in any trouble since July of 21?
Not at all. And I've passed every drug screen I've taken. My probation officer has, I wish I could have him here with me today, honestly. No, absolutely not.
owe anybody any restitution for the burglary or DUI or anything? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Everything's been paid.
Do you have any reason to be in touch with him again? Do you have any shared children?
No, we have no children.
Possessions,
No,
property?
no, it was a very brief marriage. He was only home for 2 years maybe, and he's been in prison ever since.
Alvin, did you work anywhere else after you got out besides Jones Chevrolet? All right after.
I had a job prior to these charges, working at Red Lobster. I was bartending, and somebody she come in. She worked for Jones. She come inside of my section, seen the way I interacted with customers, and she said, "Have you ever thought about, selling cars?" And I just laughed at her. I said, "Honey, I'm a felon and I have no driver's license. There's no possible way." And it was a phone number. I got a phone call for an put in the door.
A receptionist.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
So deep down, just tell me and tell the commissioners why you want to be a salesperson.
I'm really good with. I love. I mean, don't judge me, but I love waiting tables because I work with people. I sell stuff. It's what I did for years, and I just like working with people. Answering the phones. It's a job, but it's not working with people.
Parker, do you have a valid driver's license?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, I was able to obtain that within like a month, I believe, of working there.
Alvin, and I commend you coming up here because it is scary with all these people around here, but I think you'll do a good job, and I recommend giving her salesman's license.
Mr. Jackson, I second that.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
The motion is to grant licensure to Ms. Jones. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton? Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker? Commissioner Speaker? The motion carries.
It's for Miss Nickel, not Miss Jones.
Nickel Jones.
Well,
I
no,
think.
it's Jones Chevrolet.
Jones Chevrolet. Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you guys so much.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay.
Denise, same thing will apply for her. You'll get her
Yes, ma'am. We will electronically email you your sales license today, and then we'll mail out the hard copy. Should be within 5 to 7 days. Congratulations.
Okay, next is Gerhard Max Shamel. Did I get close to getting that right? Come on down. And Erica, you give us some background.
Yes. So the commission denied the salesperson license application. How do you say your last name?
Schummel.
To Mr. Schemmel. Mr. Schemmel has been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude, and fewer than 5 years have passed since completing the sentence, parole, or probation. The crimes involved, crime is armed robbery. 5 years will expire September of this year. So, based upon the analysis, the conviction does constitute a crime involving moral turpitude. And since 5 years has not passed, the commission does have the discretion to deny this. Based on the Fresh Start analysis, the crime of armed robbery directly relates to the applicant's fitness to practice within the profession. The nature of the crime includes possible evidence that the applicant may not respect the safety and welfare of the general public. The criminal conviction does have a strong relationship with the ability, capacity, and fitness required to perform the duties. The applicant has not provided any evidence of rehabilitation, and there are no known applicable federal laws for consideration that would curb this applicant's ability to participate in the sale of motor vehicles.
Did you bring anybody with you today? Okay. Are you willing to speak to us in a moment? You just come on up to the front row and then we'll get you up in a moment. Would you like to address us now and tell us why you think you've would qualify or would be a good salesperson and, live within the law?
It was 2010. I was 18 years old, young and dumb. Since my release, I haven't even had so much as a seatbelt ticket. No moving violations, nothing. Literally one of those, I got slapped on the hand and I got slapped hard. And once I got out, met the love of my life, just got married last week actually. Got 2 children, just living life the correct way. So I've had multiple jobs dealing with general public. I was a HVAC technician, going in and out of people's houses on a day-to-day basis. Go into any one of your house, you can leave whatever you want around. It's gonna be there. When I leave, never had any issues. Great Google reviews from previous work jobs, and all the way up until I got denied the sales license.
Let's go ahead and get your character witness up. Let him tell us what you do and what your interaction is with him.
So I'm Richard Cates. I'm the executive manager for Carlock Automotive in Jackson. Obviously, he works directly with me every day.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Understand how difficult it is to hire folks that are incredibly capable of doing a job. So for me, I feel fortunate in that Max came into our dealership and applied for our job. Not only did he do it, he did it the same day his dog got run over, and still managed to pull through an interview and do it very well. And he's been nothing but fantastic for the dealership.
And how long has he been with you?
I think it's been about 6 months. Is that pretty close?
It was October.
Any questions from commission members?
Commissioner Vaughn, this is for Max. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened when you were 18?
I got into a fight with a kid who was in high school, just social media blabbing to each other. I finally saw him and I got into a fight with him, not knowing that his uncle was the sheriff of the police department. So that being said, they threw the book at me pretty heavy.
What was an armed robbery?
The armed robbery, I was with 2 other gentlemen, and one of the gentlemen stole the kid's cell phone.
I'll ask the same question I normally ask. Are you still hanging out with the same guys you were hanging out with back then?
We're talking about a completely different state.
Right. But I always ask the same questions of everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of that. Have you made restitution?
Yep.
For anything that you needed to do? Have you had any trouble since?
Just some clarity on this document here. It says got into a fight and someone was with. Is that his right? Is that your writing, or is that the staff writing?
I believe that my writing.
That's your. So you got armed robbery?
I got charged with armed robbery initially because the crime simply states physically taking something from someone that doesn't belong to you. You don't have to have a weapon. One of your colleagues can steal your pen, and that's armed robbery.
That's going to be my next question. Did you have a weapon? I noticed it wasn't on the document.
And that's why it got broke down to an attempt armed robbery. I was 18. I didn't have any funds for a lawyer or bail or anything else like that. I was literally in there by myself at the mercy of the courts.
The individual charged that actually took the phone? With the same charge, armed robbery?
He actually got charged and convicted of armed robbery. Yeah. So pretty much because I was with him when he took the phone, I got an attempt armed robbery charge. It pretty much, I hadn't have gotten into a fight with him, there wouldn't have been the opportunity for the other guy to steal his cell phone.
I didn't realize that you could be both equally charged for the same crime. Interesting.
State of Illinois is, you know.
Any other questions?
Make a motion, we grant the license.
Mr. Jackson, second it.
Further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
The motion is to grant licensure. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, it's unanimous. We will grant licensure, and again, same thing, we will email you an electronic copy, and we'll have the printed copy mailed to you within the week.
Thank you for coming in. Next, the director's report. Executive Director Lawrence, will you give your report?
I will be happy to, Mr. Chairman. As you can see, we are holding pretty much steady in the number of dealers that have been opened. We have a little dip in applications that are in process, but nothing that's unusual. Everything, if we look at the active licenses as of January of this year, they are pretty much in line with our last meeting in January. And actually, these dates need to have been changed to April, so I apologize. Our complaints are on track, and our metrics continue to be phenomenal. As a matter of fact, we have a new employee who I think is with us today, just observing, and his name is Paul Fish, and he has been asked by one of our sister agencies to help out, simply because we're in such good shape, and we want to do everything we can to help out the other regulatory boards. So we have, I think you'll see the disciplinary action report, the amount to be collected on here, and it says 87% online adoptions. We were really at about 95 last week when I did my report to the assistant commissioner. So I am very, very happy about that. I mentioned that we had a new hire, Paul Fish, and I think I've already told the legal committee that we have issued an email to all of our dealers along with a bulletin explaining the new advertising rules that went into effect last Wednesday. And we've also created a little graphic that's on social media, on Twitter, that lets everybody know what the changes are. We've had nothing but great response from our dealers. I've had several people email me directly and say, is this compliant now? So everybody is really, really trying hard to be compliant, and they're thrilled with the changes that we made, and I'm overall very, very happy with that. Along those same lines, I think you'll all be happy to know that immediately following this meeting, since our rules have been published, I am going to get on with our people at Lexus and order our little books that we talked about before. So hopefully at our next meeting, hopefully we'll have those books to pass out to you all. And I know everybody's looking forward to that. It should list all of our current rules and all of the statutes that govern the Motor Vehicle Commission. The last thing I'd like to mention is that we do have internally a legislative deadline coming up in the next 2 weeks. So if any of you have anything that you would like for us to consider changing statutorily, if you could just reach out to me in the interim. And I mean, we've sort of briefly discussed it internally, and I couldn't come up with anything that we were just dying to have. So if there's something burning, if there's a burning issue that you would like for us to tackle, please share those with me, and we will get them to in the form of a proposal to our assistant commissioner. And that's all I have.
Mr. Lawrence, Commissioner Norton, do we have a copy of the
Disciplinary action report?
Yes.
I knew you were going to ask that. And I thought that I looked and I didn't, but I will get it to you. And I will get everyone, I will email you a copy of the disciplinary action report that will list everything that we've collected from the last little bit of time. I apologize. I told myself I was going to do that, and I absolutely dropped the ball.
All right. Moving on the agenda, we've got.
We need to vote on the director's report.
Oh, yes.
Adoption.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt the director's report.
Second.
Any further discussion? If you'll call the roll.
You want to do a voice vote on that one? Can we just do a voice vote on that one?
I think so. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
That was delayed. So anyway, the director's report is adopted. Legal report. Erica, you or Taylor going to do that? Okay.
Okay. Well, before we get into the new legal report, we do have some business from the previous one. There is a dealer here that the commission had requested to come in to speak with them about the issues they had with unlicensed salesman activity. And so if he wants to come up and stuff.
Want to give us any background on it?
Yeah, I can recap the case again for that. Okay, so this was from the previous report, and an investigation was conducted with this respondent, and they had found that they had sold 126 units in 2020 while their salesman's license was expired, and $5,000 fine via consent order, which has been signed, and the commission also requested for them just to come in with them about the rules regarding all of that, and they have already renewed their license as well.
Can you give the store and the location of the store, please?
Yes, it's.
Yeah, my name is Maran Abdullah. I'm from Lobog Auto Sales, Service and Repairs. I've been in business almost 18 years. It's not an excuse for me to forget something like this so important to the state of Tennessee and to us also, so we can sell these cars, you know.
Excuse me, what town did you may have covered it? I didn't hear it.
Nashville, Tennessee.
It's in Nashville.
Yeah, Davidson County, yes.
Okay.
So with the car, small car lot dealership, you know, in Tennessee is very hard on all of us because of the coronavirus, from, you know, not allowing us to go to the office, try to solve some of the issue that we have. And also, I'm the only one that do everything, from selling cars all the way to like inventory, buy cars, everything. So I slept, you know. I cannot tell you, like, I slept and I forgot about that license. Nobody else mentioned it to me. I had inspector come over there a couple times. They never told me, like, your license is expired, you know, you have to go take care of this, you know. So really, I just apologize to all of you guys for doing that, you know. And I already paid two payments of $1,000 each for 2 months that I'm behind. So there's only like 3,000 more left. So if you guys find the kindness in your heart, you know, forgive me, that will be appreciated.
But you were licensed and you let it expire. Okay.
For 18 years I had license. I never slipped, not once, you know. This is the only time that I had done.
And you said that you paid $2,000 towards the $5,000 fine, and
Yes, ma'am.
did you just ask us to waive the rest of it?
That could, yes. If you could find it. Because I borrowed this money, believe me, because I could not do it, so I had to like get it done, you know. I'm in the awkward
Well, one thing
position.
I have to say is, I mean, with COVID, that's not an excuse because we're essential workers and we've been open the whole entire time, and you can renew your license online. Is that correct? So you could have done that from home.
I never did it online, believe me. I usually like do it like through my accountant. I have an accountant. So I would mention it to my accountant also. Is there anything that I have to do? He never mentioned it to me because he thought this is my responsibility, not his responsibility.
I thought you said you were doing everything by yourself, but you have an accountant.
Yeah, I do have accountant
Okay.
for the services and for the government stuff, you know, so I don't want to be in trouble with government especially.
Commissioner Barker, do we have a 20-year history of him being current, except for this one slip?
I don't know right off the top of my head. We'd have to look at his account online and see. Let me do a little bit of digging on that.
Is this you mentioned this was the first time this has ever happened, correct?
Yes, for the license, yes, for the salesman's
And you've
license.
been doing business how long?
18 years.
Okay.
Been in trouble with the commission for anything else? Have you had any complaints filed against you with the Motor Vehicle Commission?
I think there was one complaint, but it wasn't my fault actually because the car, I was issued a title for the vehicle, and then after I tried to like sell the car, then it comes out like stolen vehicle. So there was like a lot of communication between us and the owner and the, you know, the title department.
Is that
They
situation resolved?
Yeah, this was solved, yes.
Mr. Galvin, how many cars did you sell with an unlicensed dealership?
So the investigation showed that there was 126 units.
126.
And then there was a
No
5,000.
red flag whatsoever during the 126 units. And you've been in business for 20 years?
20 years, 18 years, yes. Between 19 to 20 years. But I even emails too. I never receive any emails that like, you know, flag me, you know, so I can go ahead and get it done. As soon as I know, the first day, the same day, in the morning I was here and getting my license done.
Commissioner Watson, what time period did that represent? 126 vehicles.
That was in 2020.
About how long?
So their license expired in May of 20. So this is what the investigation report says, that their license expired in May of 2020, and that throughout the entirety after that they sold 126 in 2020. That's all it says. So I guess.
Commissioner Norton, if my memory serves me, and the reason he's here today is because and you just said this earlier, that an investigator came out a couple of times, okay, and I think the reason you're here is to explain that, because if my memory serves me, it appeared your dealership was being obstinate and responding to the request to do what we asked you to do, and that's why you're here today. We want an explanation of that. Is that correct? I mean, that's why you're here. So it appeared to me, you said he came out twice?
I think one time during when my license was expired, one time maybe. Yes, but I don't think he mentioned it to me, believe me. I don't remember, but I don't think he mentioned it to me that your license is expired and take care of it.
If you'd have been out there and your license was expired, I can promise you he would have told you it was.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole reason why he was there.
And that's the reason you're here, because it appeared to the commission that you've been disrespectful to the investigator and to the commission. And that's why we wanted to see you in person. We don't do this often.
No, never.
So we wanted you to appear for us and just make sure. And we appreciate your sincerity and everything, but I don't see any leniency on the fine at all. I mean, I think I appreciate you coming in. With the commission appreciates that, but I mean, still it is. That's why you're here today, is to explain yourself. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I had no idea this is available. Really, this is my first time here, so I had no.
I wouldn't make it a habit.
Yeah. I do not.
This concludes our investigation of this or inquiry. Okay, thank you for coming in. Now, Taylor, if you'll go ahead and do the legal report.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and get into the legal report and discuss the amendments that were made. So for number 5, which is complaint number 20210728891. The recommendation is going to change to a letter of warning to be issued to the respondent for their use of a closed dealership easy tag login to issue temporary tags. The $5,000 civil penalty will stay as well. And then number 32. Two 0541 recommendation. Number 34, which also going to change as all the amendments. I had already previously sent that, but that's something that we did talk about, yes. It's mentioned in there, yeah, to flag. I think he said just to make sure to do it. But yeah, that's in the recommendation, close and flag, and then refer to Arkansas.
Motion to adopt the motor vehicle legal report. Commissioner Jackson.
Seconded, Commissioner Vaughn.
Any further discussion on the legal report? If you would call the roll for the vote, Executive Director Lawrence.
Motion is to adopt the legal report as amended. Commissioner Levy.
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West. Votes aye. Commissioner Elam.
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker.
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson.
Aye.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker.
Yes.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, it is unanimous. The legal report is adopted.
Thank you. And next, legislative updates. Erica, will you be doing that for us?
It looks like I will be doing it, yes. Okay, so we've got a couple changes. Okay, so Public Chapter 2645, effective October 6, 2022, and expiring on October 17th, 2022. This new law creates an exception to the requirement of a motor vehicle dealer license in order to buy or sell an antique or unique motor vehicle in an auction format held as part of a, quote, motor vehicle festival in a municipality with a county population between 366,200 and 366,300. I guess that would be Hamilton County, for which the
and I apologize. I should have looked at this beforehand. You're absolutely right, Erica. This just to remind everybody, this is the Chattanooga Car Festival that we literally do every year. I apologize. And I think maybe the thought is to maybe make it permanent. We wanted to do it a couple of few years to see how it went, and maybe they may make it permanent next year, but if that helps at all.
questions about that?
I think we need to bring it up before it, each time, and keep doing it that way.
Ask a question, Commissioner. I believe this was the second year of the Motor Car Festival, and then second or third. They'll keep it. The fact that they're putting in this law to not have to be a licensed motor vehicle dealer. Did they get the necessary licenses they needed for the first two times they did it? And they just don't want to go through the paperwork anymore? Or did they forget to do it? And now we're passing a law on it.
What they have asked each time, and that's why they've passed it each time for a very finite period of time so that they don't have to become a motor vehicle dealer, that they are allowed to have this auction, but then the law expires on the very next day. That's why it's not in the statutes, because we didn't want to create some blanket exception. And whether or not they go forward and try to make it a permanent exception, I don't know. But for now, that's what the deal is. That they go ahead.
Is this a full law, like both houses and signed by the governor? I mean, that's a real law.
Real law.
Okay.
But it's literally in effect for one day.
Okay.
And applies to one entity.
Well, curiosity for that one entity, do they have to collect sales tax on that one day with those transactions?
Yes, they do.
Okay, just curious there. Thank you.
They actually have someone from the clerk's office sitting there as they do it.
Now, if I'm a dealer and I want to have a one-day auction, do I have to get a sales license? Off-site? Do I have to go and register? I mean, since
yes,
they don't have to, that means I don't have to either?
And I would love to have Mr. Weaver speak to this, but this was a special exception. This was a special exception. It's a charitable thing. They, I think it goes to Erlanger. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the charity is.
Weaver, will you give us some background on this too?
Wait a minute. This has got to be the quickest
it's the
retirement.
Second year of having a special event.
Aren't you retired, sir? What are you doing here?
I thought so. It's a special event sale in conjunction with the festival in Chattanooga. The proceeds go to the Neurological Institute in Chattanooga. It is by design that it opens up this window for the period of the festival and then immediately closes. Tied to a motor car festival, so no, an individual dealer would not qualify to hold a sale the same day during that same period of time, because unless all the proceeds were also going to the neurological center in that same day. Specific purpose, it's a very specific sale. It was thought to aid in the attendance at this motor car festival for classic and unique motor vehicles being held off-site in a special event at the in a facility other than the automobile auction in Chattanooga. So there's a number of licenses that are suspended for the purpose of this special event antique sale.
Full disclosure, Volkswagen sponsors the Motor Car Festival in Chattanooga. I attended the Motor Car Festival in Chattanooga. I attended the auction, and one of my friends actually purchased a vehicle. So I guess the question that the commission is having, what would prevent another dealer in Chattanooga or in Hamilton County between the dates of October 6, 2022 and October 17, 2022, as long as they were giving their proceeds to charity, declaring, today's a Motor Car Festival, come on down, and they wouldn't need to have a license, but they'd already have a license, so what would they need to get another license for, I guess is the question that the commission is asking.
This law, in my opinion, wouldn't cover that, but that's why great minds can.
Well, and this one says it's held at a municipal convention center.
Yeah, and there's only one convention center,
Right.
so I guess it's booked that week.
Right,
so.
right.
Hard to get on.
So, Mr. Weaver, this is going to be, it's a law now, and it's only allowed one day out of the year.
So it's a number of days.
Okay. 11 days?
The length of the festival, the sale occurs, I think, one time during that period.
Last year was a 2-day auction, so yeah, it is strange that it's for 11 days because the festival itself's only 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Some question of when they could get the actual dates and the sales.
Commissioner Norton, I'd just like to make a comment. It sounds like a good law for a good cause. If it's raising sales tax, I'd like to know how much sales tax it generates for the state, because I'd hate for them to leave and go to another state. And also, I'd like to know how much the hospital got, too. That's a good cause as well.
Had to be a pretty sizable donation because they sold a bunch of cars, and they had some pretty high price points.
Last year, my understanding is the donation was around $300,000, but that was not just from the sale of cars. It wasn't. I think the organizers of the Motor Car Festival made a $300,000 donation to the Neurological Center. This year, I think I don't know what those.
So will this law also just allow them to do it every year?
That's for this year.
Just for this year?
By year.
Okay.
Determination,
Okay.
because you've got several entities whose business model is being affected by this, not just the automobile auctions. You've got the public automobile auctions, and you've got the motor vehicle dealers whose licenses are affected by this event. And so the original idea was to do it a one-time deal to see how it went, and it seemed to go well, so we did it another time. The legislative sponsors are the ones who like doing it a year at a time.
Thank you. Okay, we need to adopt the legislative updates.
There's a couple more.
Okay, all right.
So effective July 1st this year, the Department of Revenue, and we kind of talked about this already, the Department of Revenue statute is changing to allow dealers to issue temporary tags for motor vehicles for 60 days. So that's one. It's going from 2 temporary tags for 30 days each to 1 temporary tag for 60 days. And of course, we have the discretion of the Department of Revenue right now allowing for 90 days. So we'll find out how that's going to impact or, work with this law change before July 1st.
So this 30-day will sit on top of the 60.
If they're
If it's
continuing,
allowed.
if they're continuing to allow that,
Sure.
that 90 days.
That would be great. Shelby County dealers would be very happy with that.
I think all dealers would be. I hear complaints about it so much in the last year, 2 years really. At first I thought it was just excuses, but it seems to be happening a lot. Delays, especially with out of state registration and title changes. I don't know if it's always been that way, but it has. It's worse now. And then one other change, which was just effective April 20th last week to the advertising rules, our advertising rules, just dealing with adding definitions to define factory installed options, dealer installed accessories, and factory transportation costs, and taking away the, I guess it's better stated, dealers can now add a dock fee to the advertised price, but they have to declare the amount of that dock fee. And it used to be that it had to be included in the advertised price.
It has to be very legible and
clear, concise.
Clear, concise. Yes.
Right. I think there also there's a change allowing the commission to charge a $400 reinspection fee whenever a reinspection is required due to the action of that dealer, when it's kind of their fault that we're having to go back out there. And then lastly, we are requiring an automobile auction to display the auto auction license and that of a valid principal auctioneer at their location. And that concludes the legislative updates.
Right. We need to adopt the legislative updates. So do we have a motion?
Motion we adopt.
Okay.
Commissioner Barker.
Second, Commissioner Galvin.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Motion is to adopt the legislative update. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson? Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Commissioner Speaker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, it's unanimous. You adopt the legislative update.
All right, thank you. Committee reports, I don't believe there are any. And new business, all of you were mailed out for the next 3 years, if you noticed on that sheet of paper, the quarterly meeting schedule for 3 years. And what's your pleasure on that? Anybody got any conflicts with it? Or can you really know what you're going to do in 2
I haven't looked at my calendar for the whole decade, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm having for lunch today.
So far, it looks good.
And I apologize. We actually, it's internal for a reason. We have to reserve the rooms. So we wanted to get sort of a jump on reserving the rooms. But if you all could just look at the dates over the coming weeks, maybe before the next meeting, and let me know if there are any burning issues that you might have.
Do we need to adopt it?
I've made a roll call sheet for us to adopt it.
Okay.
Just
Got a motion
officially.
to adopt it?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the meeting dates? If not,
One comment on hearings. If you just give us plenty of notice, I mean, because
Understandable.
we have a quorum.
I believe they're on the calendar on the website, correct?
Yes, they are on the website. We do try to put these hearing dates out there in advance, though those are likely to change. What we try to do is maybe confer with each of you to find out what best fits your schedule. I know that the one that we were supposed to have that was supposed to start today was just not a very well timed hearing because it was April tends to be a hard month. We've got graduations going on and things like that people have prior commitments for. So we will give as much notice as is physically possible to everyone.
Can I ask a couple questions about the hearing that we were thinking about having today? So we obviously have these already scheduled hearing dates, and I think part of the issue with the one that was supposed to start today was the length of it.
Correct.
Is there some I looked in the statute to see if there was any wiggle room to maybe declare a subcommittee. It doesn't look like we can do that. It has to be the full committee. Or you can confirm that. I think it has to be the full committee, a quorum of the full committee. But right now, you couldn't do a subcommittee because you wouldn't get to a quorum of the full committee. But could there be a way to go ahead and schedule it within the established dates? It's always said, well, we give enough time just to make sure. But when we say, oh, it might take 2 weeks, it's a lot harder to get a quorum. But if we go ahead and start it, you've got the rest of today and tomorrow to do it. I bet you they get it done rather than come back. What we could say is those are the days that we have. If we get it done, we get it done. If we don't get it done, we'll have to carry it over to the next scheduled hearing date, which might be in the next quarter. But at least we have an incentive to maybe get it done now. We have an incentive for more of the commission to be here. And if we have to spill over, we can spill over. With that, we do it in murder trials. We can do it in a motor vehicle commission hearing. Is there a reason that we can't do it that way?
well, let me speak on this just for a second. I believe the problem is going to be not with us, but probably the lawyers having that extended time, from not having fresh ears and eyes on it. And then whoever goes last, it's been so long since they did it, I think it would be more of a problem with the attorneys.
But I'm betting if they're choosing between getting it started, maybe getting it done, versus, nope, it's not happening this quarter, try again next quarter. I think they would
Good
choose
idea.
let's get it started.
I mean, I'm good with it.
I'll have to probably check our own
Yeah,
lawyers too.
we would have to just defer to legal and their communications and negotiations with the ALJ, and it's really determined by that person's.
There's a lot of,
There are a lot of
ALJ
moving
has
parts.
a lot of, we have to meet their schedule too.
And just to address the being able to break it up, that is a possibility. And if it comes down to that, that's what we'll have to do. So, this was our first, not ours. I mean, we actually had a quorum that was just kind of taken away from us by a recusal. So that's the reason it didn't go forward. But I think this was our first attempt. I've asked the parties, and the judge has asked the parties to propose some other dates. If we can't settle on a quorum for the hearing to happen all at once, then we will break it up. And that's what will happen. Now, I think Denise has already mentioned this to everybody, but since we're talking about it, we do have a hearing scheduled in October around that meeting. It's on a Tuesday. I think it's the 25th. But the hearing is scheduled to go from, is it? Okay. So I'll speak on the one I know that I'm handling, and that's October 25th, and it's scheduled until that Friday, so Tuesday to Friday. If anything changes, I will let you know. But as far as I can tell, it's happening. It's something that's been in the works for a couple years now, so it's been continued a few times.
We have one coming up that's in July.
And I'll let them speak on that.
Did you say July on a Friday?
No, October. The October meeting, which is on a Tuesday, the hearing is scheduled from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If it takes that long.
One in July.
Yeah, and that's not mine, so I'll let.
So, the one we have scheduled in July is going to be involving the same parties, but potentially a different issue than what was originally scheduled, which I'm speaking with today. But essentially, in that case, a summary judgment was granted, and so the case was closed. However, they're appealing that to the commission, so that's what we're going to be likely hearing in July. That's something that we're going to talk about today. It's the same parties, but but that is set for July currently.
Just for clarification, for those of us that haven't sat through one of these, and I don't know, Farrah, you and Nate have been on. You've done some of these, and Bob's seen a few of them. What's the average length of time these things actually take?
Yeah, good question.
I'll give you a perfect example for me. It was when I first got hired, and my first day was the trial. And it took at least 3.5 days or 4 days, and we still didn't get it done. This was over Christmas break. So they extended that. We took all the information home with us, and they came back in, I believe, in January. Very intense. I mean, it was good, but
I guess it's one day to 1 week. 1 day to 1 week.
Gotta come prepared, relax, pay attention. The judge gonna make sure of that. He or she will.
We had no heat one time we were in here.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I had the judge's coat on.
So on the summary judgment appeal, is that the ALJ made a decision already on summary judgment, and then they're appealing that decision to us to overturn the ALJ?
That's correct, yeah.
So we've got a motion and a second, I believe.
We do indeed, and this is to adopt the 3-year calendar. And for those of you who don't have it, because I know that Commissioner Speaker probably does not have it electronically, and Commissioner Watson, I'll just go ahead and email the 3-year calendar to everybody again. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson? Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. The motion to adopt the 3-year calendar has passed.
Thank you very much. And no old business, I see. Or you got
I'd
something?
like an update, if I could, regarding e-titling that we spoke at the last commission meeting. I'd like to say Bob Weaver, Chairman Roberts, and myself did have a meeting with Allison Raymer, Director of Vehicle Services, and I was very encouraged on the status of e-titling. They've got it on their table. I think we maybe nudged it ahead a little forward to getting it done in the future. I mean, it's not a quick thing. It's done in steps. But I was encouraged that they were very aware of there's 20 other states doing e-titling, and they gave a time range. We asked what was it like to get started, and they said anywhere around 18 months, if I remember what she said. So I think if we're aware of that and we create the buzz that that's happening, it helps it kind of happen. So I think it's something that would benefit the dealers, it benefit the consumer, it benefit the banks, and I think the big banks are behind it. I just think it's something we can do that makes Tennessee relevant, and I just want to update that so we can be aware of it, so we can all push together as a commission to make sure we hold, the department accountable for what it's supposed to be doing to serve the people. So, thank you.
We don't need to take any action. It's just an update. We're ready to adjourn if you want to make a motion.
Adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Me.